So hey everyone, welcome back to I think it's part 3 of the Medusa Colour Along. What I've decided, like with the Inktense one, because it's going to get a bit repetitive just continuing these snakes, probably what I'm going to do is do one more part with the snakes just so that you can get a clearer, even clearer idea of how to do the colours, like with the green and stuff like that, the green and blue and that. But also just because I feel it'll get a bit too repetitive just doing the same snakes every time. So I've just kind of decided, I guess, that I'm going to, shall we say, I guess, do a lot of the snakes off camera and then bring you back for the background and the leaves and stuff like that. There's still areas that I have no idea what they're part of, whether they're part of the snake's body or what. I'm really not sure. So I'm still trying to work that out. For example, and I'll just quickly shift my book, but over this side in behind these leaves here, I'm not sure if that's part of a snake's body or what. So there still is things to work out. But yeah, so I thought, well, I would bring you back and do at least one more of each type of snake, and then at least you've got a clear idea how to continue the snakes, and then I'll probably continue the rest of the snakes off camera and bring you back for the leaves and background and do it that way, just so it doesn't get too repetitive with snakes every part kind of thing. Also for bring you back for like the snake's mouths and stuff, because I haven't filled in the mouths or the teeth or anything yet. So yeah, I figured that would work anyway, because it's the same with the Inktense Colour Along. I sort of showed you how to do one flower, but I feel it would get a bit repetitive doing the same flower again. So I thought I would, shall we say, do a lot of the next parts off camera and then bring you back. Also, I've decided I'm going to start trying to aim for a bit of a schedule for at least 3 videos a week to start with. So I'm going to aim for Monday 11 AM, Wednesday 11 AM, Friday 11 AM for videos coming out. So I'm currently doing this on a Tuesday so that I can have the video out tomorrow, but I'm hoping to get a bit ahead with time. But yeah, I thought if I try and schedule it for, this is Australian time, Monday 11 AM, Wednesday 11 AM, Friday 11 AM. It's coming out at a regular time schedule and spaced out through different videos of the week, and allows me to start getting more videos out. So yeah, that's just what I'm trying to do anyway. So I'm going to start with, and I'm at least going to follow at least one snake of each colour. I'm not going to specifically, shall we say, guarantee we'll get more than one snake of each colour done, because they take a while. So we'll do that, and then I'll probably focus on doing a lot of the rest of this one and a lot of the Inktense one off camera, as well as still fitting in other videos for the other colour alongs. And I'm thinking I want to add in a new colour along into the rotation as well. So yeah, we're gonna get there. So yeah, anyway, we better get started. So we're using our Prismacolor 150 pencil set again, and we're using Violet PC932, and we're going to start on this little snake down the bottom here that curves up here. I'm assuming it goes up there, and then it probably comes around up here. I'm just making an assumption of that, I'm not sure, but it kind of looks like it floats all the way up around here, down there. And maybe it doesn't. See, this is where I get so confused, because see, we got this little body piece here, but at the same time, this body piece doesn't totally connect into anything here. At the same time, it almost looks like it's meant to, but it doesn't look like it is at the same time. because where the snake line is coming along there, maybe it does connect into that body piece. But I didn't think there would be a snake coming off the body, but I guess you don't know. So, because I guess you could connect that all into the one area just because of the fact that it does sort of go like that. So, and then this one, yeah, this might just be a separate snake body here because it doesn't line up. Sorry, just working out where the patterns exactly go. So yeah, I think I'm going to continue this snake body all the way down around here. Just make that as the one snake body. I'm just going to have to take guesses. And this is another reason why I want to show you how to do it one more time, because it is quite confusing with the pattern pieces, but also so then I can look at getting, because it's going to take a really, really long time and a lot of parts to just do all the snakes, and I figured that could get a bit repetitive, so I figured better to at least give you a clear idea how to do it, and then we can do the rest off camera, and then we can bring in the other bits again on camera. But yeah, so anyway, staying with our Violet PC932, which I said before, but yeah, we haven't started yet. And pretty much as we did with the last one, we're going to sort of follow where the shadows sort of fall with it. So we're sort of bringing it along this area here because there'd be a bit of a shadow where the mouth goes down, and we want to just bring it down to these parts. And I do have it sharpened to a sharp point for this bit. I'm not going to bring it to the underneath bit just because that little mouth area is so small. So I'm just going to do it along that top area where the mouth first falls. I also have a bit of card underneath just to try and hold it stable. Good thing about this book, it actually does spread easier, which is great, because otherwise it would be very hard to sort of do. So I'm just trying to do this in a way that allows you to see it, but also be able to make sure that I've got a work brain, make sure that I've got an easy way to do it. I guess, like, easy way meaning not feeling really awkward with the hands and stuff like that. So yeah, we're just tracing over the lines, and as we did the last one, we're pretty much, shall we say, using those lines to also create new lines where it's sort of, I guess, needed in the image. So where there isn't scales, where the scales have been left out and we might want scales, we're also adding those in. So just our shadow areas, as you may have realised from last time, we're basically just shading over those areas with our purple because we still want our shadow areas showing. But we also still want to add some scale areas into those areas too, to make it look more natural. So now we've got coming into some areas where it doesn't show so many scales. It's just we've got to kind of add them in a bit as we go. But it's also changing where the direction of the scales go yet again, so you want to try and make it look as natural as possible as it goes into those scales, which you can only do the best you can. So just do the best you can with adding those scale areas and the transition between them. Shadows. I am going to adjust a little bit of these shadows and add a little more along this area here, just because it is along where another towel comes along on top of it, so there would obviously be shadows under it which hasn't been depicted in every area here. So I just want to add some more shadows into that spot. As you'll notice, scales are actually quite minimal on this one, so I'm really having to add in more shadows as we go to make this work. So also in this bit here, it doesn't depict many shadows, but we'd still want some extra shadows even in the spots where it's not depicted, because as said with the other one, there is the other snake body in front of it, so there would be obvious shadows there which aren't being depicted in that spot. So just wherever you feel like, I guess, there should be a shadow but there isn't, feel free to add it yourself, kind of thing, because well, for me, I like to make it look as kind of realistic as possible. So there is some larger shadows here, but I'm still going to add some smaller shadows in along these other areas, just and gradually tone that down into this, just because of the snake body in front of it. So, and then you just continue the scales and continue adding in your new scales where they aren't depicted. And also keep adding in the shading where the shading isn't, but we also want some scales in these other areas where it sort of goes between the shading, shall we say. I think basically how this has been done, it's just been quick scales drawn in, which is why none of them really match up properly or anything. So since I'm trying to get, I guess, a more realistic looking snake, that's why I'm matching up and drawing in scales where they aren't and stuff like that. So yet again with the shadows, we don't have them matching where the sort of the head is coming over it so much, but this one I'm still going to do a bit of shadows where the head comes down, just because of the fact that yes, the light is sort of coming down from this way or up from that way. Yeah, either way, it's sort of, I'm just following his shadows a bit, but I just want to make sure there is a bit of depth between each of the snakes when I do it. So now we've also, this spot here, as you'll notice there's a snake's tongue coming over. I've gone over little tippy areas of the snake's tongue, but we don't want to go over the main area where you want colour, because the little areas I've gone over are just the areas where the forks are on the tongue, so it doesn't, well, not that it doesn't matter, but just it's not so much of a worry going over those areas, because those areas would have been filled in with the underneath colour of the other snake anyway. I'm having to do a lot of adjustments here with this one, that's why it's taking so long, because I'm pretty much nearly completely changing a lot of the scale shapes and the way he's done it, because it's like it's just, well, to me it feels like it's just quickly been thrown in with where the shapes of the scales go, and for me that doesn't work. So I'm basically changing and altering it to fit how I want the scales on the snake to look, pretty much. I am. So just bear in mind to change them as to how you sort of want it to look with the snake. And there's a bit of shadows there. We're also going to add a bit of shadow down here just because of the snake body in front of it again. I'm actually just going to pause here because we're getting nearly to the edge of our time, but before I touch this spot, I guess I want to double check exactly the way it goes and whether it does basically follow this one around to the bottom there, or whether it goes elsewhere. I just want to make doubly certain before I touch that as to how it goes. So yeah, I'll be back shortly, and yeah, I'll see you then. Bye. So hey everyone, we're back. I was thinking about this whilst I just went and did some physio exercises and stuff for my ankle. So I've been looking at this every time I go past and thinking about it, and looking at it, it looks like this line starts raising up so that it goes into this part of the body of the snake. So I think that is pretty much what I'm going to do. I am going to follow this body of the snake and yeah, put that in. It kind of seems like it goes to a weird position because it's not coming out of her hair, but then you never know, it could be flipping back up and around into the back or somewhere. So yeah, we're pretty much going to continue that. So we need our bit of purple shading around this spot. I know it doesn't show it in all of those areas down there, but I'm putting it in all of those areas because, as I said before, the body of the snake from this one is in front of this one, so obviously there would be shadows behind that bit, whereas he hasn't put the shadows in that bit. So yeah, and also this little bit here, there would be some shadows just behind this snake bit up here as well. So, but that's just how I'm doing it. You can just follow the lines that he's got if you want to, or you can change it how I am. Okay. either way works. But yeah, I really want the scales showing in mine. That's why I'm, I guess, adding the scales in where there's not scales and adjusting scales where I feel they don't fit and stuff like that. So that's just how I'm doing it. Also, there is one spot I nearly missed up here that would have shadows too. So just these little areas around these leaves would have shadows because they're sitting in front of that snake body part. And then again here where he hasn't put all the shadows showing, but I'm going to add shadows into that bit because they are sitting in front of the snake body, and so I'm going to add shadows into that part and down into there where he does have the shadows going. And then we're just continuing tracing this. It's looking like it may end up being a lot longer video than I'm expecting, depending, I guess we'll see. But going by sort of, I guess, the colour stuff that is being done. And I hope I didn't just put a hole through the page then. Sorry, I'm just checking. Well, I almost did. That wouldn't have been good, because I can feel the dents through the page, so that was lucky. It was because I didn't have my cardboard in the right spot, and so it was causing more of a, that's another thing, if you do use some cardboard or something that's a lot thicker, make sure you got it in the right spot, because if you don't, like I just did, you are going to seriously bend the tooth of the paper and cause dents. Like the other areas I can't feel the dents so much, but this area here I can really feel the dents when I rub my hands over it through the paper. So I'm just double checking to make sure there's no holes, which I can't see. But yeah, just make sure you got the cardboard over there, or it causes more, I guess, variations between the, between the different paper layers, and as a result you're more likely to bend the tooth of the paper, even if it is by accident. So just be careful of that. Because I almost completely went through the page because I heard it go to tear through the page, because I heard something start to tear. But fortunately, it didn't go through. For me anyway. Sorry, I just keep checking because I'm still a little, I keep thinking that I've gone through the page. I know I haven't, but unlike the other areas, I can actually feel the dips in that area, and it sort of, I guess I don't want to wreck the book by any means by accidentally doing that. So yeah, I'm just feeling a little paranoid when things like that happen, but I guess nothing I can do about it now. It was a mistake that happened. I just have to try and watch and make sure it doesn't happen again in the future. Because I can fret about it now, but there's nothing I can do about it, and that just spoils my enjoyment of things by worrying about the mistake that I made. So yeah, just please watch out for that if you're using a bit of card or something behind your own image, because I don't want you guys having your images wrecked by the same mistake that I just did. And again, just putting some shadows up in this area there, along where the shoulder goes. So that's our purple, our violet. So now we're going to come in with our Magenta PC930. And as you may remember, we're going to sort of bring that over these lines, but try to also just add in some, shall we say, lighter areas as well. It may not happen in every area just because of how small some of the spaces are, but we can do our best. Just trying to leave a little bit of white spots where you can, but some of these teeny areas, the little bits of shading will take up those spots. I'm just quickly going to add in another little spot here. There. Adding in our light tones in some of those areas too, trying to leave some white sort of spaces where you can. So what I may actually do, just because of, we'll see how time goes, but because this may take a while yet, I may just do this pink snake this part, a blue and green snake the next part, and then do the rest off camera. I will see how it goes as to if I can do all of it this part. It would be great if I could, but I guess we'll have to see. If I remember last part, well, it was the body, I guess, and then the snake, so we may have time, I guess we'll see. And also those upload times, I might have mentioned it, but I'm not sure, were 11 AM Australian time. So for America, that'll be, well, a day earlier, that sort of thing. And I'm not sure what time that'll be for other countries' times. Sorry. If I can though, I will fit both snakes into the one part. So pretty much you're just following the scale lines and trying to get a bit of the pink showing in those areas too, because this purple's, well, as the last time, it's kind of the back highlight for making the scales sort of show out. And you're kind of going over the purple too with the magenta. And as we did before, just adding in sort of some light shadows from the magenta down. So that we can sort of blend in the final pink easier. Trying to leave some white, but where you can't leave too much white, you can't, because depending on the size of the scale, it's not going to fit too much white or leave too much white once you add this light tone, but it should still, because it's only very light, it should still bring out the colour out over the top of it. So as you notice, we're sort of bringing it up like this. So our other snake looks like this. I actually really kind of like this effect on the snake, but I think if I did leave it this way, I would possibly add a white instead of the pink. But at the same time, I feel like it kind of doesn't look as neat leaving it this way, kind of thing. Possibly with the white it might work, but yeah. I kind of don't want to leave them too odd from each other either with the snakes. It's all as well. So I think I'll just stick with the hot pink, adding the hot pink in after this. Just to keep it going how I want. This is another reason why I decided to go with the pink snake on this one, because it will sort of bring a contrast to the blue and green snake. Which I do want to show you how to do the green bit on the head of the snake as well. forgot to do any type of shadow around that tongue bit. So we're just going to bring in our violet and just add a bit of shadow around this tongue so that we can make sure that it stands out. And then we just want to add in our little bits of light shadows along here. And then I'm just going to leave it at that. We'll come back for the rest of these parts in a minute, just because it's getting close to the amount of recording time, because it only allows about 29 minutes of recording and we're at 26 now. So I'm just going to pause it there for a minute and then I'll come back and we'll continue with our magenta. And yeah, we'll continue from there. So I'll see you back shortly. So we're back. We're just going to continue now with the magenta Prismacolor pencil. So I've still got a little ways to go with the magenta, and then we've got the main belly of the snake to do, but we'll get there. So fortunately this little bit's filled mostly with shadows, which means that it doesn't take quite as much time. And I missed a little part of the shadow there too. So you just want to bring that shadow down along the chin bit there, because that's in front of the snake too. So our little light shades again. I've missed some more shadows here. Where this plant would be would have some shadows around it too. So I'm just filling in any shadows with the violet. And it looks like it's still continued a bit of that denting the tooth of the paper. Fortunately it's not too bad. My bit of board had actually slipped out, so some of it I'm probably going to have to actually colour holding up like this so that the board can get right in as close as possible to the spine, which is basically on the edge of where the snakes go to in this book, but it makes it sit really funny. So just do the best you can if you're using some board. Actually, I might just try using the paper I had in there may make it a little easier for a minute. Like, the board is better in some ways, but sometimes it makes it really awkward getting into the spines, and that time when I did forget to have it in the right spot, it's really dinted the paper, and yeah, that's why I keep checking on it to make sure that I'm not going through the paper when I'm doing stuff, because now there is more of a chance that I am going to actually punch through the tooth of the paper because of the fact that I started colouring on the section where the board wasn't, and that dented the tooth of the paper more, and as a result there is now more risk of, shall we say, you being able to put a hole in the paper or stuff like that. At least that's what I've learned from experience in the past with not necessarily colouring books, but like with my art books and stuff like that. So just when I'm colouring in a drawing or something that I've done. So yeah, just watch out for that, and I hope it doesn't happen, because I know how frustrating it can be when you put a hole in your page. I'm going to bring out little light areas. We're on to our last little tail section. So in this case, as you've noticed, I've actually swapped to paper, and that's going to make it a lot easier to get into this area and make sure you don't get the colour transfers on it, because I don't know if you can tell, but on this back image it's actually transferred the image in spots where I've forgotten to have something along it, and it's actually transferred the image onto the next page. So both of these pages behind have actually had different ink images transferred onto them. So the bull, you can't really tell, but it's had the shadows from the phoenix transferred over to it and stuff like that. So that's another thing to watch for with this book, is that the ink does transfer off the back images very, very easily. So just something to be aware of. I'm more noticing these images, these things, and these I guess I don't know that it's faults so much, but it kind of is faults in some ways too, as I'm colouring the images. So I guess it is kind of turning into a bit of a review of the book as well as I'm doing it. But one good thing about this book is the binding has been made quite well, and so it flattens quite easily. You will get a bit of a crease in the spine, but at least it does flatten and allow you to work easier with the images. I'm not sure if it's string bound and glue bound, but it kind of looks like it's string bound and glue bound from what I can see here. And it's better when the books are like that. Like I think I mentioned about my Joanna Basford book, how the top area of the spine popped off it, and that makes me feel like it's not great quality if the top of the book's just going to break off the minute I start trying to colour the very first image. And I am actually going to, like, other than me accidentally dropping it, I've been tempted to get a new book instead, but then I figure that's all those hours of work down the drain that I've been doing in it. So this isn't Magical Jungle, this is Jonah Basford, Ivy and the Inky Butterfly. I'll quickly show it. I had it here. It's right next to me. I'm looking in the wrong spot. So pretty much, as you'll notice, all this bit's broken, so I'm gonna have to basically re-glue that once I've finished colouring the book. And I'll zoom out briefly. But as you'll notice too, the page did get dinted because I accidentally dropped it and bent up all the back spine. But I figure if I buy another book, I kind of lose all this progress in it. And I really love how the page is looking. Yes, it bothers me that I dropped it and bent the page and bent the back part of the book a bit, as you'll notice. Well, I don't know if you can really tell, but all up there has been kind of bent. And I've tried flattening it with another book. But this part here where the spine is all cracked up and where the glue's still showing but it's not actually sticking, that makes me feel like the book isn't very good quality. And yes, I could glue it again now, but I figure there's not really much point to gluing it down again now because of the fact that I still have all of the internal images inside to work on. So it's kind of like, well, I could, but I'm kind of, I guess, not going to bother about gluing it down till then. But also the fact that they've made it like this has actually made it very difficult to, shall we say, colour other images. Like these further ones, yes, they're okay, but the closer up images, you actually end up with like this crease area where this bend in the spine is, and that makes it bubble and awkward to colour as well, in my opinions. So yeah, that's just what I've worked out anyway. And yeah, it's just, I'm still thinking I may get a second copy just to have an undamaged copy, but I'm not deliberately trying to fret over it, but every time I see the damage, it's like, nah, because I'm one of those people, as I've said, that doesn't like damaging books. But it would lose all this time I've spent working on the image so far. So yeah, I guess we'll see, but I guess it won't hurt to have a second copy anyway. But it is kind of disappointing, but at the same time I kind of don't want to spend the money to buy a new book and just want to keep working in this one. So, and wow, the back of that kind of dirty from something. Looks like it'll rub off, so it's some sort of dirt from somewhere. I guess I'll clean that off later though. But yeah, so it does kind of make me want to get a new one, but I figure, well, then I lose the progress in the one that I've started on, and it's like, do I really want to spend the money on a new one right now? So yeah, I guess we'll see. It just, yeah, every time I go to work in it, I feel kind of bummed out about dropping it. Let me know, do you ever have that feeling when you accidentally damage your books? Or not? I guess I'm just curious as to if I'm alone with not liking when I accidentally damage the books. But yeah, I may end up eventually getting another copy for myself, I'm not sure, so. Because at the same time, I'm thinking that would be a cute book. Because, like, I do want to have kids sometime in the near future if I can. And I kind of would like to have that as a storybook for my kid. But I just, yeah. So in some ways, I guess it wouldn't hurt having a second copy of my own, because then I can have a second undamaged copy, and, well, a copy that's used by a kid is obviously likely to be damaged, isn't it? So, yeah. But yeah. Let me know, do you not like it when you accidentally damage your books, or are you okay with it, or how do you sort of resolve it in your mind? I keep telling myself, well, it's happened, there's nothing I can do about it. That doesn't mean I don't seem to feel annoyed at myself, but at the same time I know I just need to let it go, because it was an accident. Accidents happen, there's nothing you can do about it, and you just have to move on with things. So that's kind of what I'm thinking that I'm going to have to do, but yeah. I regularly have to do that if I find a bit of damage in my books, or accidentally damage it, just because I love my books to look nice still after reading it, so yeah. But then I do have some books that I've read so much that basically the pages look all wrinkled, crinkled, because I've read them so many times. So I guess it's a sign of wear and tear and the fact that it has been loved and used. But yeah. So I think it's time to just let it go, because it's been at least a month since it happened, and I just need to let it go and move on with things. And I'm thinking I may even just get a second copy for myself, so I can have a second copy for myself, and I can use this one for when I do have a kid or something like that. So yeah. But yeah, I'd love to know how others feel about if they damage their books, or if they're not worried about it, or what, because I sort of feel like it's time to just let it go and move on, because it was an accident, it's happened, there's nothing I can do about it now. But at the same time, it's sort of, every time I use it I get reminded of what happened. But yeah, I guess just time to let it go and move on. And I'll zoom back in again now that I remembered. Yeah, I guess it's just time to let it go and not stress over it, because it spoils my enjoyment of using that book and colouring that book, which I don't want, because I really do love my colouring stuff and using those books. So yeah, I think just time to let it go and move on. It may take a while sometimes, but yeah. Doesn't mean I wouldn't be curious to hear about how others like to treat their books and stuff anyway. I think it could be interesting finding out that stuff. So yeah, now we're going to come in with our hot pink PC993. And as you may remember from that other one, this lot's going to be kind of quicker, because we're basically colouring it over every colour here and adding it in. So this one kind of does look a little different because of the fact that there's not so much, I don't think there's as much of the bright magenta there. It doesn't seem like it, but No, it could be about the same. I'm not sure. But yeah, pretty much in the end I just want to enjoy my books and enjoy my reading and enjoy my colouring and not stress over damage or if anything like that happens. It's also, I heard today that, or is it yesterday, someone left a comment saying it's now outdoors weather. I'm assuming that's in America. It's actually coming into winter indoors weather here. So it's starting to get quite chilly of an evening. In a couple of evenings we're down to about 2 degrees, which isn't as cold as some places. Like we're an hour from the snow, but we don't always get like the temperatures of some other places like Canada and Russia and stuff like that, where it can get down to minus 40 or so. But it can get quite chilly. Last year we had down to, what was it, minus 5 some evenings, which probably isn't as cold as some people in America. So probably, like, it would be a lot colder because we're about an hour from the snowfields, so we're not exactly in the coldest spot where the snow actually falls. We don't actually ever get snow here in winter. If we do, it would be a very rare occurrence because it hasn't happened regularly at all. My mum, she remembers out at Tallangata Valley, which is kind of in the hillsides and about an hour from where we are. She just basically remembers a couple of times as a kid getting snow there. But yeah. And I'm just going to pause for a minute, so I'll be back in a minute. So hey everyone, we're back. Yeah, we're just going to continue with our hot pink now. So I just put a post on Facebook too, just letting everyone know about that I am now aiming for uploaded schedule times. And yeah, so we're just, yeah, I'm really looking forward to doing it because it'll be great to start getting some scheduled upload times going and get started on that stuff. So I'm quite excited to be working on that now, and I, as said I think earlier in this video, I'm now aiming for Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 11 AM Australian time. So this video will hopefully be up tomorrow, being Wednesday, at 11 AM Australian time. So it'll be good. I can't wait. I'm actually enjoying, because I'm trying to get more of a general schedule and organisation going in general with my life. So it's actually really good to start doing this because it sort of helps with what I am trying to work on doing in general with my life. Because I really do want to be more organised and have things uploading regularly and all of that. It'll be fun. Fun. And it means I still get to fit in my enjoyment, which is the colouring, as well as, shall we say, what am I even thinking of? My brain's not functioning. Yeah, as well as, I guess, start getting things more on track in general with my life and start having more regular, well, get better at organisation and having schedules and keeping schedules and all of that. Because that's just what I want to start doing more with my life. Also, if you've noticed the bandage, that's just because I happened to burn myself yesterday on my... I was cooking a pork roast yesterday, and I didn't realise that it wouldn't fit with the shelves where they were. So I was trying to adjust the shelves after preheating the oven, and let's just say my hand slipped off the mitt and I basically hit the shelf and yeah, burnt my finger a bit. It was really painful yesterday. Fortunately, it seems to have eased a bit. It was still really painful when my mum came last night, because she's out looking after the grandparents and that as well. But when my mum came, and the farm, when my mum came last night, it was still so painful that it was hurting. Every little movement, every little thing I did was just, it was really sore. And so my mum suggested actually just sitting it in a cloth on an ice pack, and that seems to have helped it so much. So yeah, it's feeling a bit better today. Like, it's still throbbing, still a bit swollen, but at least currently the pain isn't there regularly, so that's a good thing. But yeah, lesson learnt. Don't try shifting the oven racks when the oven's hot. Do it before the oven's hot if you think it won't fit. But still, the pork roast came out nice, so that was something. But yeah, I'll survive. I'm sure we've all done it sometime. But yeah, I'm getting back into my cooking again too, because I love cooking. So yeah, it's fun to be getting back to a lot of these things. And there go the neighbours' dogs again. It's so nice when they're when the lady goes away on holidays. They don't seem to stay with the boyfriend. The boyfriend seems to be there alone without the dogs, so we don't have the dogs constantly barking. So yeah. But I guess you get what you get in life. Everyone has those noisy neighbours sometimes. Or neighbours with annoying pets and stuff. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do also with the snakes, I think I'm going to finish this snake, and then I'm going to show you in another part when I work out where I want the next blue snake. I'm actually going to bluey green snake, because I didn't show you how to do this green part. I'll also do one more part just showing again that snake, and then yeah, the rest I'm going to do off camera. I may do that before I do the bluey green snake, and just leave one to show you how I do it. But I think that's just what I'm going to do this time, is just do the one snake this part, and then I shall next part do the next snake, and then possibly also in that part look at the background slash all these little leaf sort of sections here. So that's what I'm thinking of doing currently for it. And so yeah, I'm going to do the majority of this off camera, except for the till we get to the snake part, and that just finish the majority of the snakes off camera so it's not too repetitive for everyone. Same as the Inktense flower in Hannah Carlson's image, but like the line with Millie Marotta and that, we'll keep doing all of that on camera because it's so many different little parts and it's kind of different for each little part, I guess you could say. So yeah, that's what the plans are with this, and I think I'll probably keep that with some of the, I'll just let you know of course, but when the images could end up being repetitive like the snakes, I will do those bits off camera. Do the repetitive parts but still show you how to do it. So I'm just going to sharpen this pencil quickly. But at least doing it this way, at least you've got a second sort of part just I guess backing up what you've already learnt, so it reinforces it, so you've got a clear idea for doing it yourself, and then you can do the rest of the snakes once you see how I've done it off camera, if you want to do it the same kind of thing. So you can see where I've done the bluey green snakes and where I've done the pink snakes and all of that with the next part, when I'll show you how I do the, like I showed you how I do the bluey green part, but I didn't actually show you the green part, so I just kind of really want to show you how I did the green part with the blue and with the stomach, because I didn't show you how I did the stomach of the blue snake either with the pinks and that. So I just want to show you how I do those parts in a separate part, but I will bring that back in once I've done all the other snakes and left one for that, so that you can sort of see where I've done each different coloured snake. It'll be sticking to the same two types of snakes that we've got here that we're currently working with. So there won't be any new snakes colours added. If there is, I will do a video showing how I did those as well. So yeah, you're not going to have any parts showing missed that you don't know how to do or whatever. I will show how to do all those parts. So no need to be concerned, you're not going to miss out on anything. It'll just be doing it roughly how I have already shown you how to do it. And if there's anything new or different, I will of course bring it up in a video and show you how to do it. So we're just bringing the pencil in over all these little scale areas to make sure that we get them properly covered. So yeah, that's our pink snake. Now we've got to come in with our belly of the snake, which I'm just going to sharpen the pencil quickly, and good one, just drop it on the other pencils. Okay, so now what we're going to do for this stomach area, so you notice we've got 1, 2, a little bit there, 3, at least 3 to 4 areas that we're going to do the stomach. What we're going to start with is our China Blue PC100, which is what we started with last time. And where the shadows are, we do want shadows in those areas, but we also want to bring it down around the tummy at the belly. I'm thinking I'm not going to worry too much about the top look like I did with that one, but we'll sort of want to bring it around the tummy, anywhere where there's sort of a possibility of some shadows, and we want to bring it up where these sort of, shall we say, ridges are in the snake's stomach where the scales would change. And then we also want to make sure that we bring in our little sort of light areas along the edges of where we've got those blues. So this spot won't have quite so many because it's such a skinny area, but we'll do our best to fit in all the colours that we can. And I'm just going to quickly check my book because I went back over, as I said on the Facebook group, I went back over the previous video just to get a clear idea of where I was going. So I've pretty much got a clear idea of how I did the shadows and that for the belly last time, so I can basically repeat that this time. So yeah, that's helpful anyway, because that'll make it easier for it to not get so confusing, shall we say. So we're going to do this belly while we're here, and I'm just working out I think I'm going to, there is shadows here because of this, the other snake, but I think I am going to bring it down around the bottom area just because of the fact that I feel that because it's sort of curving under there, there would be more likely shadows than this sort of, oh yeah, there would be more likely shadows there than the upper area closer to where the stomach is, because we don't actually have shadows marked along here when we've done it. We do have some shadows along these areas here, but we'll just work with that and work that into it. But that is too because I think the light source is sort of coming from this way, so these areas won't have so much shadow, but coming down here because it's twisting around, it will have shadow on some of those sort of areas where the stomach sort of curves under. And as usual with this area along here, I'm actually going to add in more shadows where there isn't any, just so that we do have a clear shadow behind where the shoulder's in front of it. And here is mostly shadows as well. And then we need to add in our little light sort of areas in between, so that we've got our blending sort of areas. So just keeping it light. In those spots. And then we got one more final area to go with our China blue, which is up in here. And again, you see all the shadows over here, and that is because, as we know, that is sort of behind the other snake area. I'm also going to bring in, even though it doesn't have it, just a little bit of blue shadows along here under the chin, just because of the fact that there would be a bit of shadow under that chin. At least I feel there would be shadow under the chin because the chin is over the top of the snake, so the snake would be being shadowed by the chin, in my opinion. A bit of shadow into that one there. And then we want our little lighter areas in these spots too. We do. And I'm more focusing on bringing the shadows down on this side of the snake, just because of the fact that I feel where the light source is coming from, that side would have just a little more shadow with the way the snake's body is curving. I feel it would. Okay, so now we've done that, we're going to come in with our Peacock Blue PC1027, and we want to bring that in over all those blues and try and bring, where we can, a bit of shadow up into where those blended areas are. We're going to make it like a light blend out from those areas, particularly in these smaller spots. So I'm going to bring out a bit of light areas there where we got them. Same for these spots, we're basically following where we've put our shadows before and colouring over those shadows, but we're also adding in the Peacock Blue to the areas where those light tones were brought up and out, allowing us to blend that in. Want to make sure that we add in our light shadows around those spots there. And then I'm just going to pause for a minute just because the batteries are getting close to finishing this section. And then we'll come in and finish this last section with our Peacock blue. And then we'll go in with our final colour and then do our black shades and do our second layers and that sort of stuff in the next part. So I'll be back in a minute. Hey everyone, we're back. Wow, would you believe this has taken up nearly an hour and 50 minutes just doing this one snake? We've got about 19 minutes left. So, yeah, that's taken up a bit. I'm kind of surprised. I didn't realise it would take up quite that much time. I thought maybe half an hour, 40, 50 minutes, but nope, taken up an hour and 50 minutes. Nearly. So, wow. So, yeah, we're just bringing in our Peacock blue into the last of this bit where we need to shadow it over our China blue and the little light sort of shadow areas. Making sure we leave our white areas, which will bring in some light of the Peacock blue at the very end. Now we want to bring in our little light areas of Peacock blue. Trying to leave some light areas, but if the area is too small and it goes over the remaining white area, that's what happens, kind of thing. There's not really much we can do about that. Still be adding in the other colour over the top of that spot anyway. So now we've done that, we're going to come in with our non-photo blue PC919, and we want to basically colour that over every colour, so even these darker areas that don't have any space left in them, we want to colour it over those as well. So just so that we've got an even consistency between the colours when we do it. And this is probably the quickest layer because you're just finishing shading in all the previous layers. Well, quicker, we're still yet to add in our black and those sorts of colours, but we'll get there. We will. Sharpen this one quickly. So now what we want to do is shift that out of the way for a minute so we can get to the pencils. We want to bring in our black PC935, and we just want to add very light shadows. We don't want really dark, we just want light shadows around. So hey everyone, the camera battery cut off. So as I was saying, we're bringing in our black PC935, and as I was saying, we don't want really dark shadows, but we just want sort of a light black shadow where shadows go where the lines of the snake belly goes. Basically where our dark shadows are, we just want a bit of shadows in those areas. So we're basically just adding in, trying to add it in as light as possible with a bit of the black in those areas. Just trying to get a bit more depth in here. But just as light as you can. I'm not trying to do it overly dark or anything because I don't want it overly dark. So we just want it sort of light. We do. So even this spot, which is quite a dark area because it's shadowed by the snake's bodies and all of that, we still want that as light as we can with the black. Like we want a bit of the blackish, greyish tones showing in it, but we don't want it overly dark at the same time. Same for this area around the chin. We want it slightly grey, but we don't want it really, really black where it just basically takes out all the other colour underneath. We just still want that colour showing underneath. As much as possible anyway. If you do it slightly dark in one area, well, there's not really much we can do about it. It's what's done is done, pretty much. And then what we want to do is we're going to come in with our China Blue PC100, and we want to pretty much use that to try and blend in some of our black sort of areas. So we want to bring in the black so that it doesn't look quite so prominent kind of thing. So it does look more sort of worked into the actual image. So this is really bringing our depth into the snake's belly now. So just anywhere you've put the black shadows, that's where we want to add in a bit more China Blue over the top, just to blend it in more. so that it's not prominent. Or not as prominent anyway. Because that's why we're trying to keep it light too, because we want to be able to blend it back in easily. Now what we want to do is bring in our, and I'm just going to sharpen that quickly, is our Peacock Blue PC1027. We want to bring that in over all those colours again and up into the next colour. So anywhere where your shadows are, and we're just bringing that up a little further than where the current shadows sit, so that you can see a bit where the colours change tone too. And this is helping with our blending the layers too. So we want to try and, in this spot, just leave a bit of that little lighter area, just because of the fact that we still want that little bit of light source starting in there. And then we are bringing the Peacock Blue into some of these other areas where it's a bit lighter, and we will bring our last colour over those spots in a minute. Now we want to bring in our non-photo blue PC919, and we're just colouring that over the rest of these, not worrying too much about colouring it over the black, but at least blending it into the Peacock Blue and that a bit, to just make it sort of show as our light sources. And there we go. So I think that is looking quite good, and would of course do the eyes and that in a different part, but we'll just zoom out so you can see it fully and make sure it's focused. And so that's our Medusa part for today. Next part I will work on getting the majority of these snakes finished and leave one to show you, one or two to show, well, at least one to show you how I do the blue snake with the green head and the pink belly. And I'll at least leave one, maybe at least one probably, because this one took nearly 2 hours to do itself, so I'll at least leave one and show you how I do that, and I'll work the rest of the snakes off camera, and then we'll come back in with the background and the leaves and stuff like that. So I will see you later. If you enjoyed this, please like, subscribe and comment, and I will see you later. Bye.